exam study session. I don't know about you, but this class is a little stressful for me, so I really need the extra help. Hopefully it's helpful for you. My teacher lets us make a note card for our exams, which is really, really helpful. So I'll be here making the card right now. I already wrote down all the notes that I need to make the note card. Okay. So the size of the paper has to be 4x6. And we can write on both sides, which is good. Okay, so it's going to start with chapter 12. And I write kind of small so that most of the information fits on the card. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start with social psychology. And its definition. It is a scientific study on how people think. How people think about influence and relate to each other. Okay, and then from there I do a little red line to be able to write other notes and see the difference between the two separate definitions. Okay, the next one is attribution theory. And Fritz Heider, I don't know how to pronounce it, but he is the one who came up with the theory. And it's explaining someone else's behavior by crediting the situation or the person's dispositional character. Then line. Okay. I'm trying to remember what this definition exactly means. Next definition is, next vocabulary is situational attributions, which is next is one of the two parts of attribution theory. It's one of the two parts of the attribution theory. So the situational attribution is an external explanation for something that you did, basically, for explaining your behavior. So saying, like, if you're late to class, your external explanation would be that there was a lot of traffic. Okay. And then the second part is dispositional attribution, which is an internal
explanation. So like your character and stable traits. So an example is like if you're late to class and your internal explanation is that you hate the class and you just don't want to be there. So that's why you're always late. Okay. Next one. And then I just have to underline all the vocabulary words so I can find it easily when I'm taking the test. The next word is fundamental attribution error, which is, it says, tendency when analyzing others' behavior to estimate the influence of personal traits and underestimate the effect of the situation. I honestly don't know what that is. I'm probably just not that smart. But as long as I have the definition on here, if the exam asks for the definition, I have it. I'm so bad. Oh, and I'm writing super tiny. If it focuses, yeah, I'm writing very tiny so that it all fits on my note card. To estimate the influence of personal traits and underestimate the effects of the situation. Okay. Next definition. Fundamental attribution error. Okay. The next one is social facilitation. Which is improved performance on simple or well-learned tasks in the presence of others. Improved performance on simple or well-learned tasks in the presence of others. Line. Okay. Then we have the definition of attitude, which is feelings influenced by our beliefs that predispose us to respond in a particular way to objects, people, and defense. Next is called foot in the door phenomenon. So this foot in the door phenomenon is people agreeing to a small request find it easier to agree to a larger one. I don't know if this is true, but I know they use this a lot in my job at a retail store. I tried to do it, but it doesn't really help very well, so I don't know if it's true or not. Basically we're trying to give out store credit cards to customers. So we try to convince them to get it from us. And a way that I do it is by asking the customer first if they want a mesh bag, which is to put all their stuff in. And when they say yes, that's when I bring up the credit card asking them to apply. They usually say no, so I don't know if this is true. I try. Cool. Got that done. Okay. Oh God, I'm tired. Okay. This exam is 50 questions long. So roll. Role is a set of expectations about a social position defining how those behave. So basically, a role, pretty self-explanatory. Just like if you're a parent, your role is to educate or protect your children, feed them, teach them, stuff like that. Yeah. My role right now is to study. I'm a student. That's my role. Okay. Next we have the Stanford Prison Study. Which was done by this crazy guy named Philip Zimbardo. And the study was very controversial. And it showed the situation of role-playing. I'm not gonna write that because I kind of already know what it is. So I'll keep some more room in my note card. But basically, the Stanford Prison Study was done with like regular college students, and they were in a room for a week, role-playing as either the cops, or not the cops, security, and prisoners. And they were there for like 3 days, I think, because they had to stop the study because people actually like took in their roles, and prison guards would actually mistreat the prisoners, and it was just a riot. It went crazy, and that showed the power of taking on a role that isn't actually you, and how it can influence you to do something that you wouldn't actually do in real life. Pretty crazy stuff. Next is cognitive dissonance theory. The theory was done by Leon Festinger. And the definition is: take action to reduce discomfort when we feel as though our thoughts are inconsistent with actions. So basically, that basically the cognitive dissonance theory is that like if you're doing you're influenced to do something that you don't want to do and you say yes anyways, or you're convinced, there you go, you're convinced to do something that you don't want to and you say yes, and that like feeling of uncomfort and everything is what's going on in your brain. Yeah, I don't know if I explained that correctly. I don't know if that's right, but I'm learning, or at least trying to. Wait, look at this. I need this class to graduate, so I'm just kind of taking. I'm not planning to be a psychologist or anything. So next word is conformity, which is what everyone does, whether you believe it or not. The definition is adjusting our behavior or thinking to coincide with a group standard. We do this all the time. We act differently when we're around our parents. We act differently when we're around our friends. It's just something normal that we all go through. So that's called conformity. Next we're going to talk about Solomon Asch, which was a scientist of some sort. I don't remember. But he did the line experiment, which was basically he showed a group of students 3 lines. So a short one, a medium one, and a longer line. And everyone in the room except for one person already knew what was going on. And the question was to go around the room. They went around the room and asked to answer the question, which line is the longest? And everybody on purpose said the wrong answer. They said the shortest line was the longest line. And this was to prove that you go along with the answers of everyone else to prove, I guess it just fit in. I don't know, like the guy answered the shortest line is the longest line. Doesn't make sense, but it's to prove that we go along with everyone else just to not seem different. That was the experiment. Crazy stuff. So the next word is normative social influence. is influence resulting from a person's desire. Resulting from a person's desire to gain approval or avoid disapproval. Disapproval, sorry. So basically, this is done a lot with through social media when you're like trying to change yourself to fit in with like the norms of society, I guess, but that's basically what it means, I guess. I don't know. Don't listen to me. There's a definition. Next, let me underline the word. Next we're gonna learn about Stanley Milgram. And Stanley Milgram did an experiment on obedience. He did an experiment on 2 people to see if how they would respond to commands. So basically there's the teacher and the learner had to answer questions, and if it was wrong, the teacher would shock the learner. They didn't see each other, they were in separate rooms, but every time he got a question wrong, the shock would increase in hurtness. I don't know what it's called. Watts, whatever. And so the learner was at one point screaming for the teacher to stop shocking him because it was hurting. But he wasn't actually being shocked. It was just a recorder. The teacher was made to believe that he was actually hurting this person, but he was forced to do it because of this experiment. And this was like kind of shown as the way that people were forced to hurt other people, like in the Holocaust, when people were made to send other people to camps and stuff. They weren't forced to do it. Like, they did it consciously. They were just, I don't know, like, they didn't feel like, it's so hard to explain. I don't even know. Anyways, moving on. Whatever. Let me just write this down. I wrote myself a little note of the experiment so that I know what it is I'm talking about. I just put teacher shocks learner. That's how I know that's that experiment. Okay, moving on to chapter 13. This chapter is about a personality. So, of course, the word is personality, and the definition is an individual's characteristic, pattern of thinking, feeling and acting. pretty sure that's self-explanatory. Now we're gonna go on to Sigmund Freud. I'm running out of lead. I don't think I have another pencil. Whatever. Sigmund Freud. Or Fraud, whatever. He's an Australian neurologist. Oh, gosh, why was that so hard? And he's the founder of psychoanalysis. Yup. Oops, I messed that up. That's okay. Mine. Yeah, he created the psychodynamic theory of personality, so that's the next word. Theory of personality. Okay. The psychodynamic theory of personality is viewing personality viewing personality with a focus on the unconscious and the importance of childhood experiences. Focus on the unconscious mind and the importance of childhood experiences. Free association. Let's see what that means. It is in psychoanalysis. It is a method to explore the unconscious, which sounds whack, but it's basically a person relaxes and says anything. Basically what a psychological therapy is, where you just lay on the couch and the psychologist is asking you questions and you just answer them and you just say whatever. You might do, like, you might even say you're a serial killer. I don't know, you can say whatever you want. And then the unconscious mind is what holds unacceptable thoughts. Basically, it's our mind is basically just always running, and the unconscious is just where everything is kept, and you don't know you're thinking about it, but you are. Basically like saying, like, defense mechanism. Defense mechanism is ego reduces anxiety by indirectly and unconsciously distorting reality. Okay. And then we have the Rorschach. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's the the person who made the ink blots. The ink blot test. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. It's basically a way to identify inner feelings by analyzing interpretations of the ink blots. Okay. Moving on to humanistic theory. Humanistic theory. It is a theory done by Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. They are influential theorists. Of humanistic psychology. Okay. And they view personality with a focus on the potential for healthy personal growth. Focus on the potential for healthy personal growth. Okay. So Rogers specifically made the 3 conditions of what it takes to have good personal growth. Those 3 conditions are to have genuineness, acceptance, and empathy. So the unconditional positive regard is something that Rogers also came up with. The unconditional positive regard is an attitude of total acceptance towards another person. The example the teacher gave is that only dogs have this because they accept every person. They're human as whatever they are. So they're the only ones that are capable of unconditional positive regard. Fun fact. Moving on. Okay. Moving on to Maslow's pyramid of well-being, basically. So we're starting from the bottom of the pyramid to the top, and in that order. The first one is physiological needs. Which is getting food, all the basic needs. And once you have that, you can worry about safety. Moving on, after you have all the basic needs met, safety, you can move on to love and belonging, which is basically just feeling or having people to care about, having people that care about you, just having connections with other people. From there, you can create an esteem for yourself, and then moving on to self-actualization. Self-actualization, which basically means it's a motivation to fulfill one's full potential. And that's basically it for chapter 13. Is that what we're on? Chapter 13. That's basically it. There's so many noises. Sorry about that. Right now I'm just underlining all the vocabulary words, so again, it's easier for me to find later. I remember I didn't do this for one of the tests, and I was so confused. Okay, so moving on to chapter 14. We're gonna start with psychological disorders. So psychological disorders means it's a clinically significant disturbance. In the individual's cognitive. In the individual's. Sorry, I messed that up. Individuals. What is it? I lost my spot. I'm sorry. Cognition. Emotion regulation, and behavior. Next, we're moving on to some disorders, and the first one is generalized anxiety disorder. This one is an anxiety disorder in which a person is continually tense, apprehensive, and in a state of autonomic nervous system arousal. So, always alert. Phobias. Basically, an anxiety disorder marked by a persistent irrational fear and avoidance of a specific object, activity, or situation. I already know what that means, so I'm not gonna put that definition. Oops. Jeez. I'm just underlining again. Phobias. Cool. Next word is OCD. Disorder characterized by unwanted repetitive thoughts, and actions. I feel like a lot of people overuse the word OCD, like, just like the word depression. Like, you may be sad, that doesn't mean you have depression. And same thing with OCD, people overuse that word a lot when it's not actual OCD that they're like feeling, you know? I don't know. I could be wrong. But that just doesn't seem right to me. Next word is major depressive disorder. And that means that the person experiences 2 or more weeks of with 5 or more symptoms of a depressed mode. Yeah, that's... You also have loss of interest and pleasure, but that's okay. I'm running out of space, so I'm not gonna write that. Next is bipolar disorder. That is alternating between hopelessness, the hopelessness of depression, why is it focusing on that? Oh, okay, there we go. The hopelessness of depression and the overexcited state of mania. And by overexcited, it doesn't mean like you're happy, you're super happy or something. It means, like you're in a really like elevated state of doesn't mean you're happy, you're just overly excited to the point where you also can't function properly. Kind of like if you were depressed and you wouldn't want to go out and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not a professional in psychology, as you can tell, but I'm trying to learn. Even if I'm wrong, I'm still trying to go over each word and try to understand it the best that I can for this test. Okay. I think this is the last word. So, schizophrenia. Schizophrenia. It is delusions, hallucinations, disorganized speech, and these are all symptoms. It doesn't mean everyone has that, everyone experiences schizophrenia the same, because people don't. Or diminished inappropriate. I already spelled that wrong. Fuck. Oh, sorry. Appropriate emotional expression. And that's it. Literally. If it focuses. Come on. There we go. I filled up the whole note card. Barely. Okay. Thanks for studying psychology with me. I feel like I'm at a good stage to be able to take my exam tomorrow morning and not feel like I'm gonna fail, so that's good. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.